you mentioned earlier that we have these politicians that don't care if we live or die. And it really seems that we're seeing that on a daily basis in the two crises that we're facing, the pandemic and the authoritarian response to the civil rights protests that have been going on for literally months. And as you pointed out, they've been going on in Kentucky. I know, we've seen what's happened in Portland, and that now that's spreading to other cities. William Barr, in his testimony over the past 48 hours or so, has been completely unapologetic about it. And I know I saw that you tweeted about how he shouldn't be in that position. If that sort of tactic comes to Kentucky, if you see Trump's group of guys in camo basically in the cities of Kentucky, what should we do? What can we do at this point?
I believe that the energy and the excitement around our organization, but just in general, means that we're gonna have a big coalition of folks that are ready to fight back against that type of authoritarian approach. We know that our democracy is at stake. We know our future is at stake. We see institutional and structural racism that is permeating through these types of approaches where our law enforcement is militarized and they see us as enemy combatants. And that's why the protesting has not stopped. That's why you're seeing people of all backgrounds in the streets still. And should they send their secret police, you're gonna see me on the front lines like I've been. I think this is a moment where we put pressure on our local and state officials to be mindful of this and not let this fall into a blind spot. There is no degree of public safety that will come from having these additional officers in our towns, in our cities, disrespecting our constitutional rights and essentially escalating a lot of pain and tension that is justified. So instead of ignoring people, be accountable and be responsive. And we're raising our voices collectively to demand that, which is why we were able to get no-knock warrants banned in Louisville through the Metro Council unanimously. And so folks are ready to fight back. And what I'm telling everyone is don't sit down, don't be quiet. Let's rise up together and demand the future we want.
I have one more question, a follow-up to that, because as you point out, Louisville was successful in pushing through some reform already, thanks to the protests. And we've seen in other cities and in some states, some reforms. What we haven't really seen at the federal level is any real change or even an acknowledgement that anything is on the table. That it's not like Trump and Barr saying, you know what, we've heard the concerns, we don't like the violence, but we understand the need for reform. And so here's the debate that we're gonna have. There's been absolutely none of that from the federal government. And many people are worried that that's because this is a convenient election ploy to crack down on these cities as a sort of authoritarian show of force to get his base riled up. So as you said, you've been involved in this. You're talking about being on the front lines if it comes to your state. Do you have hope for any federal changes pre-election if Trump sees this as something that's beneficial to him?
I have to say that I realize that the road ahead is gonna be difficult. And we do have someone in the office of the presidency that would use every tactic, explore and exploit hate at every turn. And if he's going down, he's gonna do everything to take the country down with him. That is very clear. So it won't be easy. But the hope I have is in the people that I see standing up that see through this BS. We realize what's going on, and we understand that this is a moment that we cannot allow silence or complacency to win, because that means that we're gonna lose generations, if not more. We know that democracy is fragile, and clearly we haven't perfected it in the least. And I think people are active now. Mainly the pandemic has helped people see the challenges up close, I think, a little bit more. See some of the things that I've been crying out and communities like mine have been crying out for years about. And so they're activated. And that's really why I wanted to launch this organization, because I want us to keep building that collective power. Politics and policies change because we change them. If we wait for those big corporations, big money interests to see us and hear us, we're gonna be dead by then. And we're not allowing that, man. And so my hope is in the people, and I know we're ready to fight.
And if someone watching this wants to get involved in the organization or find out more, where can they do that?
Absolutely, go to hoodtotheholler.org. Proud of this, man. We're building bridges, breaking barriers. We're gonna be training new leaders. We're gonna be building new citizen lobbyists. We're gonna be registering and re-enfranchising voters, focusing on former felons. We're gonna break down the barriers to democracy. We're gonna kick the door in so more regular people can be heard. and we will end poverty together. hoodtotheholler.org. Join us.
Awesome. Charles Booker, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Always. Thank you.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.